All right, if your team lost the first 2 games of the season, it might not be the end of the world. A little bit of silver lining here. Here's a look at some teams that won a Super Bowl after starting 0-2. Most recently, the Giants in 2007, Pats 2001, and how about those Cowboys in 1993? We're going to see what Ryan Wilson has to say about this. But first, let's go ahead and look at these 0-2 teams, the ones that maybe we should panic about. You got the Ravens, the Bengals, the Jags, the Rams, and the Colts all had high expectations heading into the year. But again, let's hear what Ryan Wilson has to say about this. He's got a panic meter for us, and it's got several levels here. Don't fret, okay, maybe not that big of a deal. This is fine, a little worried, cause for concern, and full-blown panic. All right, let's get in the guys to help us figure out just how panicked we should be. Pete Prisco and Ryan Wilson. Starting with the Bengals here. All right, they lost in week 1, maybe a little bit of panic there. But losing to Patrick Mahomes in the most Patrick Mahomes way ever, late in the 4th quarter by just 1 point. Wilson, I have to ask you here. The Bengals have started 0-2. This will be the 3rd year in a row. What's your panic meter?
It's not a 5-alarm fire, Katie, but it's 4-alarm fire. It's cause for concern. This team is now 1-11 in the first 2 weeks under Zach Taylor, going back to 2019. Not great. You talked about the fact that they're 0-2 for the 3rd straight year. And when you lose your first 2 football games going back to 2020 when they expanded the playoffs, just 2 teams have had winning records and made their ways to the playoff. Those 2 teams, the 2022 Cincinnati Bengals and last year's Houston Texans. Last year's Houston Texans, of course, took 2 weeks to figure things out with their rookie quarterback. So I'm worried. We've seen this movie before, but the bigger concern for me, Pete, is that it feels like all these unforced errors. T. Higgins isn't happy. He's not playing with a hamstring injury. Jamar Chase clearly isn't happy. He played a role in why they lost that game when he went after the officials. Doesn't have his contract. I don't know if Joe Burrow can overcome all of that, in addition to being banged up on the defense side of the ball, where they already had some questions in terms of being a decent run defense.
So do we have what the level is? Do we have a meter or something that we're going to go on or something? Is there a scale?
If we say like 1 through 5, right?
Yeah. Right.
Let's do that.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's panic time for the Bengals. I just don't. Joe Burrow's too good. They have too many talented players. We saw them hang around in that game. Probably should have won the football game. If he doesn't fumble, they probably do win the game. No panic meter. It's probably a 2 for me right now. But if they lose another game, then it could jump to a 5.
You saw it on the side there, right? So, like, you're in the this is fine territory when it comes to the Bengals.
Which to me always reminds me of the meme where the dog is like the fire in the background. And they're like, this is fine, we're fine.
So it's really not fine. But you're saying it actually is fine when it comes to the Bengals. We're going to another 0-2 AFC North team, which is kind of crazy. We're talking about the Ravens in this position and not, the Steelers or the Browns. But, of course, the margin for error is very, very, very slim, especially when you're going up against Patrick Mahomes. But losing at home to the Raiders, Ryan, maybe a little bit more cause for concern. Where are you at when it comes to the Ravens?
First thing, I'm glad you guys made Pete admit that he was wrong about the Steelers, so that's a step in the right direction when we talk about the AFC North. So congratulations, Pete, for 0-1 finally. In terms of the Ravens, I'm going to take the Pete Prisco approach. This is fine. The room is on fire. The dog is staring at the cup of coffee, and nothing to worry about, Katie Mox. And I say this because it's Lamar Jackson. Now, the issue becomes when you look at the schedule, because things may not be fine for very long, but they got to get this thing sorted out. They have a ton of good players. The issue is on the offensive line, which is young and lacks experience, and the issue is that they need to get Derrick Henry more involved. Everything else I don't have any real issue with, except, as I mentioned, the schedule, which is, let's see here, at Dallas, the Bills, at the Bengals. So things could go horribly wrong quite quickly, but as we head into week 3, knowing that you have the reigning MVP, knowing that you can turn this thing around, for me, Pete, everything is fine.
I'm a little worried. And for a couple of reasons. The offensive line, and Ryan mentioned it, that's a bad unit right now. I mean, a lot of offensive lines are bad in the NFL, but this one's really bad, and it's hurting them. But more than that, the pass rush. This is a team that traditionally finds ways to get to the quarterback, and it's not good enough right now. So I think I'm a little concerned, and when you combine that with this schedule, I mean, if they go to Dallas and lose that game and you're 0-3 in that division, that's a big hole. So I am a little worried right now.
Yeah, I went ahead and laid the 8.5 with the Ravens. Woke up with egg on my face in that one. I mean, just a horrible, horrible loss. All right, Jack, I'm going to give you a little bit of a break here because you did have to talk about Florida for an extended amount of time. So let's talk Jacksonville, her other team.
Thanks for saying the obvious.
So let's talk Jacksonville here. They had the second shortest odds to win their division. They are down 0-2 now with that loss to the Browns. I'll start with you, Wilson. How much are we panicking?
This is full-blown panic mode. They've lost 7 in a row. They've lost 7 of 8. The only team they beat was the lowly Carolina Panthers, as Rick Spielman calls them, a homecoming team for every opponent that faces them. At this point in their journey, Trevor Lawrence isn't necessarily completely to blame, but he hasn't played well. And Jacqueline, I love working with you. I hate to bring this up. I don't want to talk about Florida, but remember what I said about 3 weeks ago?
Yes,
the Jacksonville Jaguars are the Florida Gators of the NFL. The only thing lacking is that Sanford isn't on the schedule for the Jaguars, and things are going to get worse with this schedule. At Buffalo, at Houston, and then they face the Colts in a division matchup. I am extremely worried, Pete. This team has scored more than 20 points once in their last 6 games. Where's the offense? What is going on in Jacksonville?
It's a full-blown panic, and in large part because he mentioned the schedule. If you're 0-4, you're done. You're over, and you're going to start talking about regime change. I mean, when the owner of the team comes out before the season and said this is the best team he's ever had, and they don't win, there's going to be changes. Whether it's Trent Baalke, you hear there's some infighting inside the building around already going on. It's not a good look. Trevor Lawrence is sped up. The offensive line, you want to talk about a bad offensive line, it's one of the worst in the NFL. The receivers aren't making plays. Gabe Davis looks like he's playing in concrete boots. I mean, he looks slow as can be. It's not a good situation right now, and the schedule's brutal, full-blown panic.
Yeah, and it starts with the Bills, which is no easy feat.
Monday night with the Bills.
Yeah, am I the problem? Like, I feel like my fandom is the problem.
Yeah, Arizona State's 3-0, by they?
Are they? Okay, well, yeah, maybe I need to, maybe you need to come be a Gator fan, or I know you are the mayor of Jacksonville, though, so I don't know what's
I'm Darth Gator, never forget that.
Okay.
Oh, I actually left that.
I don't. Okay.
I pictured like a black alligator just coming out of the swamp ready to...
Yeah, Gator
Black unis are fire.
Gator fans hate me. I used to kill Tim Tebow. They hate me.
Oh my God. We'll have to get into this later, Pete, but we're going to talk about Anthony Richardson. We're going to flip the switch a little bit. Keep it in the AFC South, still talking about our favorite guy once, Ryan. But, you know, AR, he played, what, 4 games last season, gets hurt, and now it's like boom or bust type of energy with him. Throws a bomb, and then in the next play, it's a pick. So where are you at in terms of a panic meter for AR and the Colts?
We're living in a world, Jacqueline, where Anthony Richardson is the silver lining to an overall dark cloud that seems to be hovering over you in your sports fame. And look, he wasn't great Sunday against the Packers. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about the Colts, not because of Anthony Richardson. He's extremely raw, and you talked about some of the breathtaking plays he made. That 4th and 11 conversion late in the game yesterday, threw a terrible interception earlier on in the game. But you see the glimpses of him being good. The offense isn't yet clicking. The defense couldn't stop anyone on the run for the 2nd straight week. That's a concern. But I'm thinking longer term with this offense and Shane Steichen and what he wants to get out of AR5, Pete. So I'm not necessarily concerned right now. I didn't think they were a playoff team 2 weeks ago, and that hasn't changed. I think this is a matter of getting better each and every week. They still have some improvement to do, but you can see glimpses of where AR5 can be special. It's just that he's so incredibly raw and inexperienced, you're going to have to deal with the hiccups along the way until you finally get to where you want to go.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about this team right now. And you mentioned Anthony Richardson and the inconsistency, but it's more than that. They've been run on. Everybody's running on them. And when you get run on like that, it's demoralizing. And this is supposed to be a team that was better on defense. They added guys on that defensive line. They're supposed to be a better unit, and they're not. The good news for them, 2 other teams in their division are 0-2 right now. So there's 3 0-2 teams in that division. That gives them a little bit of hope. But if you can't stop the run in the NFL, you're not winning football games. So they got to get better up front.
They got to get better up front. One team, well, this is a division close to my heart, the NFC West, and the Rams that had a lot of promise going into this season, unfortunately just hit really bad with this injury bug. First Puka Nacua with his knee, and now Cooper Kupp. Coach Sean McVay is saying that he is a candidate to go on IR. They are down 0-2. They got to go against the 49ers next week. Ryan, how are we panicking here?
Oh, full blown. And they're in such a bad way, Katie. I didn't even look at their schedule. It doesn't matter. They don't have anyone to line up. You talked about all the injuries, and this is just strictly the injury gods pointing the finger at the Los Angeles Rams, who I picked to win the division, by the way, and saying, you know what, let's take a month and a half off and see how you do. Matthew Stafford does not have a chance in this sort of situation. They got steamrolled by the Cardinals, who is a better team than probably some people gave them credit for. In week 1, they went toe-to-toe with the Lions on the road, but injuries caught up with them there. They do get a Jackson back from suspension, okay, but after that, you've lost Jonah Jackson, Joe Noteboom, Steve Avila, who was their second-round pick a year ago, who started at guard and center. You see the names here. Good luck winning football games, Pete, when you don't have anyone to roll out there to play football for you.
Yeah, this is a full-blown panic, in large part because of the injuries. We saw it in week 1. They didn't have their offensive line. They were starting to get guys back, but still a problem. But also on the other side of the ball, no Aaron Donald. I mean, arguably the greatest defensive player of all time is no longer there. It becomes a problem. You try and fill that void with some young guys and young rookies, and they're going to be good players, but the errors show up. And Sean McVay's a great coach. This might be his biggest challenge, trying to get this team, the way it's constructed right now, to win football games.
Well, and they were the biggest competition for the 49ers, so I have to ask you guys, just to be selfish, and because you were on the hot seat for so long, are you panicked about the 49ers, 1-1?
No, heck no.
Wilson?
Heck no.
I'm rolling with Eugene Cyril Smith III. Go Seahawks.
Oh,
wow.
Okay, curveball, curveball. Wow. All right, Ryan Wilson and Pete Prisco, thank you so much for your time and helping us with this panic meter here.
Yep, and you can catch more Ryan on With the First Pick. So far, we got Rams and Jags. Those are the two teams in full panic mode, but the conversation continues with Rick Spielman, Ryan Wilson. You can follow their show, download, listen, all the things wherever you get your pods, or you can watch right now by scanning that QR code on your screen.